The sun was shining brightly over San Diego that Tuesday afternoon. The McDonald's on Pine Street was not too busy, just the usual mix of families with children, office workers on lunch breaks, and elderly folks enjoying coffee. The smell of French fries and burgers filled the air, and the sound of ice being dropped into cups mixed with the soft background music. In the corner booth sat an older man with a weathered face and a baseball cap pulled low over his eyes. Most people didn't notice him at first glance, which was exactly what he wanted. Clint Eastwood, now in his 90s, still had that same strong presence that made him famous in westerns and police movies years ago. He was in town for 3 days, for a small film festival, where they were showing some of his old movies and giving him an award for his lifetime of work. Eastwood wasn't planning to stop at McDonald's that day. He had a meeting with the festival organizers in an hour, but his driver had taken a wrong turn and they ended up on Pine Street. Feeling hungry and seeing the golden arches, he decided a quick burger wouldn't hurt. His security guard waited, in the car outside, giving Eastwood a rare moment of being just another customer. Just a quarter-pounder and a small coffee, black, he had told the young cashier, who did a double-take when she heard that familiar, rough voice. She tried to stay professional but couldn't help the slight shake in her hands as she took his money. Now he sat quietly eating his burger and watching people come and go. He enjoyed these moments of watching real life happen. It gave him ideas for his movies and reminded him of a simpler time before fame changed everything. The bell above the door jingled as Susan Miller walked in holding her son Joey's hand. Joey was 6 years old with bright blue eyes and light brown, hair that never seemed to stay combed for long. He wore a green t-shirt with a dinosaur on it, slightly too big for his small frame, and blue jeans with a patch on one knee. His red sneakers lit up with each step, drawing his attention downward. As he walked, Susan looked tired. Her blonde hair was pulled back in a simple ponytail, and she wore no makeup. Dark circles under her eyes told the story of someone who hadn't been sleeping well. She wore a plain blue blouse and black pants, the kind of outfit someone wears to a job where they stand all day. "What would you like, Joey?" Susan asked, bending down to her son's level as they looked at the menu board. "Happy Meal with nuggets, please," Joey said, his eyes now scanning the restaurant. "And apple slices instead of fries. Doctor said it's better." Susan smiled, touching his cheek gently. "That's right. Good remembering." They placed their order and found a table near the middle of the restaurant. Joey sat facing the corner where Eastwood was eating. The boy kept looking at the older man, tilting his head slightly as if trying to solve a puzzle. "Mommy," Joey whispered loudly, in the way children do when they think they're being quiet but aren't. "That man looks like the cowboy from Grandpa's movies." Susan glanced over her shoulder quickly, then turned back to Joey with wide eyes. "Joey, that's Clint Eastwood. He's a very famous actor, but we shouldn't stare or bother him, okay? Famous? People need to eat lunch too." Joey nodded but couldn't help stealing glances at the movie star. In his 6-year-old mind, seeing a real movie star was like seeing a character from a book come to life. Grandpa loved westerns and had shown Joey some of the milder scenes from Eastwood's old movies. Joey thought it was the coolest thing that the cowboy who shot bad guys on TV was eating a burger, just like regular people. Their food arrived, and Susan carefully arranged everything on their table. She pulled out wet wipes and cleaned Joey's hands, then opened his ketchup packets and placed his apple slices in easy reach. "I need to get some napkins and refill my drink, Joey. Stay right here, okay? Don't move from this spot." Susan's voice had a nervous edge to it, the voice of someone who had learned to be extra careful. "Yes, Mommy, I'll stay." Joey took a bite of his chicken nugget and swung his legs under the table. As soon as Susan walked away, Joey's eyes went back to Eastwood. The actor had finished his meal and was sipping his coffee, looking at his phone. Something was pulling Joey toward him, a feeling he couldn't explain. It wasn't just that this was a movie star. There was something else, something important. Joey looked at his mother, who had her back turned as she filled her cup with ice at the drink station. He made a quick decision. Sliding out of his seat, he walked straight to Eastwood's table, his light-up sneakers flashing with each step on the tiled floor. Eastwood noticed the small boy approaching and looked up from his phone. He'd been around long enough to know that children sometimes recognized him, usually because their grandparents were fans. He gave Joey a kind smile, the wrinkles around his eyes deepening. "Hello there, partner," Eastwood said in that famous gravelly voice that had delivered so many memorable lines over the decades. Joey didn't smile back. His face was serious, his blue eyes wide and worried. He glanced over his shoulder to make sure his mom was still at the drink station. "Can I tell you something?" Joey asked, his voice small but determined. Eastwood nodded, leaning forward slightly. "Sure, kid. What's on your mind?" Joey came closer and placed his small hands on the edge of Eastwood's table. He stood on his tiptoes and motioned for Eastwood to lean down. The actor complied, curious about what this child wanted to share. When Eastwood's ear was close enough, Joey cupped his hands around his mouth and whispered words that made the blood drain from the actor's face. "My daddy said not to tell anyone," Joey whispered, his breath warm against Eastwood's ear. "But he has a gun under his pillow. He showed me yesterday. He said he's going to hurt my mommy tonight because she talked to the neighbor man too long. He said if I tell, he'll hurt me too. But you stop bad guys in movies, so maybe you can stop him." Eastwood pulled back slightly to look at Joey's face. In his long life, he had learned to read people well. What he saw in Joey's eyes wasn't imagination or a child seeking attention. It was fear, raw and real. His small shoulders were tense and his lower lip trembled slightly despite his brave approach. "Where's your mom now, son?" Eastwood asked, keeping his voice steady and calm while his mind raced. Joey pointed to Susan, who was now putting a lid on her drink, about to turn around. "That's her. Her name is Susan. My name is Joey. My daddy's name is Frank. He gets really angry a lot. Yesterday, he broke all the pictures in our house." Eastwood had played enough cops and detectives in movies to know what he needed to do. But this wasn't a movie. This was real life, and a real child and his mother might be in danger. He needed to act carefully, but quickly. "Joey, you did the right thing telling me," Eastwood said firmly. "Stay right here with me for a minute, okay?" Joey nodded, relief washing over his face now that he had shared his secret with someone he believed could help. Eastwood reached for his phone, his hand steady despite the adrenaline now pumping through his system. As an actor, he knew how to appear calm even when he wasn't. Right now, that skill was more important than ever. Clint Eastwood's fingers moved quickly over his phone screen as he dialed 911. His eyes darted between Joey's worried face and Susan, who was now looking around the restaurant with growing concern, noticing her son was no longer at their table. "Cool one? What's your emergency?" a woman's voice answered. "This is Clint Eastwood," he said in a low, steady voice. "I'm at the McDonald's on Pine Street in San Diego. I need police here right away." He paused, not wanting Joey to hear him repeat the boy's words. "I have a young boy with me who has just told me his father has a gun and has threatened to harm the boy's mother tonight." There was a brief silence on the other end of the line. Eastwood was used to people not believing it was really him calling. "Sir, did you say this is Clint Eastwood?" the operator asked carefully. "Yes, that's correct," Eastwood replied firmly. "But that's not important right now. What's important is that this child is afraid his father is going to hurt his mother. I believe the threat is real." The operator became professional again. "I understand, sir. I'm sending officers to your location right now. Can you stay with the child until they arrive?" "Yes, I will," Eastwood said. "Please tell the officers to be careful when they get here. The mother doesn't know her son has told me anything, and we don't want to create a scene that might get back to the father." "Understood. Officers are on their way. They should be there in about 5 minutes. Can you give me a description of the boy and his mother?" Eastwood described Joey and Susan while keeping his voice down. He watched as Susan finally spotted Joey at his table. Her face showed a mix of embarrassment and fear as she quickly walked toward them. "The mother is approaching now," Eastwood told the operator. "I'll stay on the line." Joey looked up at his mother with big eyes as she reached the table. Susan's face was flushed red. "Joey, I told you to stay at our table," she said, her voice shaking slightly. She turned to Eastwood with an apologetic expression. "I'm so sorry, Mr. Eastwood. My son shouldn't be bothering you." Eastwood gave her a reassuring smile. "No bother at all, ma'am. Joey here was just telling me about his dinosaur shirt. Joey looked confused for a moment but then caught on quickly. Yeah, Mom. I was showing Mr. Eastwood my T-Rex. Susan seemed relieved but still embarrassed. Well, we should get back to our table and let Mr. Eastwood finish his meal in peace. Actually, Eastwood said smoothly, why don't you both join me? It's nice to have some company sometimes when you're traveling alone. He gestured to the empty seats across from him. Susan hesitated, clearly torn between not wanting to impose and the once-in-a-lifetime chance to sit with a famous actor. Are you sure we don't want to intrude? I'm sure, Eastwood said. He discreetly moved his phone to his lap, still connected to the 911 operator. Please have a seat. Susan carefully sat down, pulling Joey next to her. This is very kind of you, Mr. Eastwood. I'm Susan Miller, and this is my son, Joey. Nice to meet you both, Eastwood said. He asked Susan some simple questions about living in San Diego, keeping the conversation light while watching the door for the police to arrive. Joey sat quietly, his eyes moving between his mother and Eastwood. He seemed relieved that he had told his secret but also nervous about what would happen next. After about 4 minutes of small talk, 2 police officers walked into the McDonald's. They were in uniform but tried to look casual as they scanned the restaurant. When they spotted Eastwood, they walked over to his table. Mr. Eastwood, the taller officer said. His name tag read Officer Daniels. Next to him stood a female officer with short brown hair. Her tag said Officer Martinez. Yes, that's me, Eastwood said, finally ending his call with the 911 operator. Susan looked confused, glancing between Eastwood and the officers. Is everything okay? Officer Martinez smiled gently at Susan. Mrs. Miller, could we speak with you privately for a moment? Susan's eyes widened. How do you know my name? Her hands gripped the edge of the table, and her breathing quickened. We just need to ask you a few questions, Officer Daniels said calmly. There's a quiet area near the back where we can talk. Susan looked at Joey, then at Eastwood, clearly uncertain about what was happening. What is this about? Did Joey do something wrong? Not at all, ma'am, Officer Martinez assured her. Joey hasn't done anything wrong. We just need to speak with you about a family matter. Joey reached for his mother's hand. It's okay, Mommy. I told Mr. Eastwood about Daddy's gun because I was scared. Susan's face went pale. She looked at her son with a mix of shock and fear. Joey, you shouldn't make up stories like that. Her voice was tense, and her eyes darted nervously around the restaurant as if expecting to see her husband watching. Officer Daniels knelt down to be at eye level with Susan. Mrs. Miller, we take these matters very seriously. It would be best if we could talk privately. Tears formed in Susan's eyes. She looked at Eastwood, who gave her a reassuring nod. Joey can stay with me for a few minutes if that's okay, Eastwood offered. I can tell him about the horses I worked with in my Western movies. Joey's eyes lit up despite the tense situation. Real horses? Susan wiped at her eyes and slowly stood up. Okay, she whispered. Thank you, Mr. Eastwood. She followed the officers to a quiet corner of the restaurant. Eastwood turned to Joey, trying to keep the boy distracted. Yes, real horses. I've ridden many horses in my movies. There was one named Buck who was the smartest horse I ever met. As Eastwood told Joey simple stories about movie horses, he kept glancing over at Susan and the officers. He could see Susan crying now, her shoulders shaking as she spoke. Officer Martinez had her hand on Susan's shoulder while Officer Daniels was writing in a small notebook. Is my mommy going to be okay? Joey asked, following Eastwood's gaze. Yes, son, I think she will be, Eastwood said gently. You were very brave to tell me about what was happening at home. Sometimes adults need help too, but they don't know how to ask for it. Joey nodded seriously. Daddy gets really mad sometimes. Last week he threw a chair at the wall and made a big hole. Mommy tried to fix it with a picture so he wouldn't see it and get mad again. Eastwood felt a heaviness in his chest as he listened to Joey. In his long career, he had played tough guys who solved problems with fists and guns. But real-life violence was ugly and harmful, especially when it affected children like Joey. Things are going to get better now, Eastwood promised. "The police are going to help make sure you and your mom are safe." After about 10 minutes, Susan returned to the table with the officers. Her eyes were red from crying, but she seemed calmer now, as if a heavy weight had been lifted. "Joey, honey," she said, kneeling next to her son. "We're going to go with Officer Martinez for a little while. She's going to take us somewhere safe." Joey looked worried. "What about my Happy Meal toy? And my backpack at home? And Charlie?" Charlie was Joey's stuffed dog that he slept with every night. "Officer Daniels will get Charlie and some of our things from the house," Susan explained, her voice steadier now. "Right now we need to go somewhere safe." Joey looked at Eastwood. "Will you come too?" Eastwood shook his head gently. "No, partner. This is a journey for you and your mom. But the officers are good people. They'll take care of you." "Like the good guys in your movies?" Joey asked. "Exactly like that," Eastwood said with a small smile. "Even better, because they're real." Officer Martinez stepped forward. "We should get going, Mrs. Miller. We have a police car waiting outside at the back entrance." Susan turned to Eastwood, her eyes full of gratitude. "I don't know how to thank you, Mr. Eastwood, if Joey hadn't—" Her voice trailed off. "No thanks needed," Eastwood said firmly. "Just take care of yourself and this brave young man." As Susan and Joey prepared to leave with Officer Martinez, Eastwood slipped a business card into Susan's hand. "This has my assistant's number. If you need anything at all, please call." Susan nodded, too emotional to speak. She took Joey's hand, and together they followed Officer Martinez toward the back of the restaurant. Officer Daniels stayed behind for a moment. "Thank you for making that call, Mr. Eastwood. We're sending units to their home now. Based on what Mrs. Miller told us, we have enough to bring the husband in." Eastwood nodded solemnly. "Take good care of them, officer." As he watched them leave, Eastwood felt a mix of emotions: sadness for what the family had endured, but hope that today might be the beginning of a better life for Joey and his mother. After Susan and Joey left with Officer Martinez, Clint Eastwood remained at the McDonald's to give his statement to Officer Daniels. The restaurant had become quieter as other customers finished their meals and left. A few people had noticed the police officers and were curious about what was happening, but most had gone about their business. "We'll need you to come to the station to make a formal statement," Officer Daniels said, closing his notebook. "It would really help the case." Eastwood nodded. "I understand. I have a meeting with the film festival people in about 40 minutes. Can I come to the station after that?" "That would be fine, Mr. Eastwood," Officer Daniels replied. "Here's my card with the address and my direct number. We appreciate your help today." Eastwood took the card and slipped it into his jacket pocket. "What will happen to them now, to Susan and Joey?" "They'll be taken to a safe house," Officer Daniels explained. "It's a special place where women and children can stay when they're not safe at home. They'll have their own room, food, and people to talk to who understand what they're going through." "And the father?" Eastwood asked. "We have officers heading to their home now. Another team is going to his workplace. Based on what Mrs. Miller told us, we have enough to arrest him for making threats and illegal possession of a firearm. She mentioned he has a prior conviction that would make it illegal for him to own a gun." Eastwood stood up slowly, feeling the weight of his years. "Officer, I've played a lot of tough guys in movies. I've pretended to save people on screen hundreds of times. But this—" He gestured to the table where Joey had sat. "This was real. That boy was really scared." Officer Daniels nodded. "Yes, sir, he was, and you did the right thing. A lot of people might have ignored him or thought he was making things up." "I could see it in his eyes," Eastwood said quietly. "You learned to read people in my line of work. That boy wasn't lying." As Eastwood left the McDonald's, his security guard was waiting anxiously by the car. "Sir, is everything okay? I saw the police go in." "Everything's fine, Bill," Eastwood said, though his face was serious. "Just had to help someone out. Let's head to that meeting now." The car pulled away from the McDonald's, but Eastwood's mind stayed with Joey and Susan. He wondered what would happen to them next and if the boy's father would be arrested without trouble. Meanwhile, Susan and Joey arrived at the safe house with Officer Martinez. It was a large old house painted light blue with white trim. A tall wooden fence surrounded the property, and security cameras were visible near the doors. The house didn't look scary or like a shelter. It looked like a nice, big family home. "This is where we'll stay?" Joey asked as they walked up the path to the front door. "Yes, for a little while," Susan said, squeezing his hand. She was still trying to process everything that had happened so quickly. Just an hour ago, they were having a normal lunch at McDonald's. Now they were going into hiding from her husband Frank. A woman with gray hair and kind eyes opened the door before they even knocked. "Hello, I'm Betty," she said with a warm smile. "Welcome to Haven House." Joey liked Betty right away. She had a grandmotherly feel about her, and she spoke directly to him instead of just talking to his mom like most adults did. "I'm Joey," he said. "I'm 6. This is my mom." "It's very nice to meet you both," Betty said. "Why don't you come inside? I have some cookies fresh from the oven, and I can show you where you'll be staying." The inside of the house was clean and bright. Photos of flowers and beaches hung on the walls. There were comfortable-looking sofas in the living room and a large kitchen where 2 women were preparing dinner. It smelled like spaghetti sauce and garlic bread. "We have 3 other families staying with us right now," Betty explained as she led them upstairs. "Everyone has their own bedroom, but we share the kitchen and living areas. There's also a playroom for the children and a quiet room for grown-ups who need some space." Their room had 2 beds with colorful blankets, a small desk, and a bathroom. Attached. Joey ran to the window, which looked out on a backyard with a swing set and a garden. "Look, Mom, they have swings," Joey said excitedly. Susan sat down heavily on one of the beds. The events of the day were catching up with her and she felt overwhelmed. Officer Martinez sat beside her. "I know this is a lot to take in," the officer said gently, "but you and Joey are safe here. No one can come in without proper identification, and we have officers who regularly check the area." Susan nodded, tears forming in her eyes again. "I just can't believe this is happening. Frank will be so angry when he finds out we're gone. That's why we're moving quickly to find him," Officer Martinez explained. "By now, officers should be at your house and his workplace. They'll take him into custody and explain the charges." "What will happen after that?" Susan asked, her voice shaking. "He'll have a bail hearing, but with the threats and the illegal firearm, it's unlikely he'll be released right away. During that time, we can help you get a restraining order. The people here will also help you figure out your next steps." Joey came over and climbed onto the bed next to his mother. "Is Daddy going to jail?" Susan and Officer Martinez exchanged looks, unsure how to answer. "Your daddy made some bad choices," Officer Martinez said carefully. "He needs to talk to a judge about those choices. The judge will decide what happens next." Joey seemed to accept this answer. "Can I go see the swings?" Betty, who had been standing quietly in the doorway, stepped forward. "I can take Joey to the playground while you finish talking, if that's okay with you, Susan." Susan nodded gratefully. "That would be good. Thank you." As Joey left with Betty, Susan turned back to Officer Martinez. "I still can't believe Joey told Clint Eastwood about the gun. He must have been so scared to approach a stranger like that." "Children are more observant than we give them credit for," Officer Martinez said. "Joey knew something was wrong and he found someone he thought could help. He was incredibly brave." Across town at the Miller's small rental house, officers had arrived to find Frank Miller had not yet returned from work. They searched the house and found the gun exactly where Joey had described it, under Frank's pillow. It was loaded, and a quick check showed it was not registered. They also found a box of ammunition in the closet. Officer Daniels called his team on the radio. "Any sign of Frank Miller at his workplace?" "Negative," came the reply. "His boss says he left early today around noon. Said he had some personal business to take care of." Officer Daniels felt a chill. It was now almost 2:30 p.m. If Frank had left work at noon saying he had personal business and had threatened to hurt Susan that night, he might already be looking for her. "Put out an APB on Frank Miller right away," Officer Daniels ordered, "and increase security at the safe house. He might be trying to find his wife and son." Back at the safe house, Joey was having fun on the swings while Susan filled out paperwork with a social worker named Lisa. They needed information about Frank, his full name, date of birth, what kind of car he drove, places he liked to go, and friends he might contact. This will help the police find him, Lisa explained. It also helps us keep you safe. Susan provided all the information she could, her hand trembling as she wrote. He has a temper, but I never thought. She stopped, unable to finish the sentence. Many women don't see how bad things are until they step away, Lisa said kindly. You're doing the right thing now, and that's what matters. As they finished the paperwork, Betty came in looking worried. She whispered something to Lisa, who immediately stood up. Susan, we need to move you and Joey to a different room at the back of the house, Lisa said, trying to keep her voice calm. It's just a precaution. Susan felt her heart start racing. What's happening? Is it Frank? Did they find him? Lisa hesitated, then decided Susan needed to know the truth. The police called. Frank left work early today and hasn't been found. Yet. They're concerned he might be looking for you. We're just taking extra precautions to keep everyone safe. Susan covered her mouth with her hand. Oh God, I should have known. He said he would. Tears streamed down her face. It's going to be okay, Lisa assured her. The police are everywhere looking for him. This house has excellent security. Let's get Joey from the playground and move to the other room. Outside, Joey was laughing as he went down the slide. He hadn't been this relaxed in a long time. For the moment, he was just being a normal 6-year-old boy, free from the tension and fear that had filled his home. He didn't know that his father was missing, or that the police were now rushing to find him before he could carry out his threats. The afternoon sun was beginning to lower in the sky as Clint Eastwood arrived at the police station. His meeting with the film festival organizers had been brief. He had explained that he needed to leave early because of an important matter, and they had understood. Some things were more important than movies and awards. The police station was busy with officers moving quickly between desks. Phones rang constantly, and the sound of keyboards clicking filled the air. Officer Daniels saw Eastwood enter and walked over to greet him. Thank you for coming, Mr. Eastwood, Officer Daniels said, leading him to a small room with a table and chairs. We just need to get your statement about what happened at McDonald's. Eastwood sat down, removing his hat and placing it on the table. Any news on Frank Miller? Officer Daniels shook his head. Not yet. We have officers at all the places his wife mentioned he might go. His car hasn't been seen either. It's like he vanished. That's not good, Eastwood said, his face serious. A man like that, angry and on the run, is dangerous. We've increased security at the safe house, Officer Daniels assured him. Mrs. Miller and Joey are being well protected. A female officer came in with a tape recorder and some forms. She set everything up while Eastwood waited patiently. He had given police statements before, usually when overeager fans caused problems at events. But this was different. This time, a child's safety was at stake. Eastwood's statement was clear and detailed. He described how Joey had approached him, what the boy had whispered, and how he had kept him at the table while calling 911. The officer asked a few questions, and Eastwood answered them all, trying to remember every detail that might help. This will be very useful, Officer Daniels said when they finished. A statement from someone like you carries a lot of weight. Eastwood shook his head slightly. It shouldn't matter who I am. What matters is that boy was telling the truth and needed help. As Eastwood was leaving the police station, his phone rang. It was his assistant, Mary. Clint, there's been a development, Mary said, her voice urgent. The police just called. They want to know if you're still at the station. I'm just leaving now, Eastwood replied. What's going on? Frank Miller showed up at the McDonald's, looking for his wife and son. One of the employees recognized him from the police description and called it in. He was asking if anyone had seen them with, and I quote, some old man. Eastwood felt a chill. I'm going back inside right now. He turned and walked quickly back into the police station, finding Officer Daniels at his desk. I just heard about Frank Miller showing up at McDonald's, Eastwood said. Officer Daniels looked surprised. News travels fast. Yes, he was there about 20 minutes ago. We just got the call. We're sending units there now, but he'll probably be gone by the time they arrive. Does he know where his wife and son are? Eastwood asked. We don't think so, Officer Daniels said. But he seems to know they were with you. The McDonald's manager said he was very angry, demanding to know where you had taken his family. Eastwood sat down, his mind racing. So he's looking for me. Now, not just them. It seems that way, Officer Daniels agreed. We can provide you with protection if you're concerned. Eastwood thought for a moment. No, I have security with me already, but this gives me an idea. If he's looking for me, maybe we can use that. Officer Daniels leaned forward, interested. What are you thinking? I'm scheduled to appear at the film festival tonight. It's been advertised. If Frank Miller is looking for me, he might show up there thinking I can lead him to his family. Officer Daniels nodded slowly. A trap? We could have officers in the crowd ready to move if he shows up. Exactly, Eastwood said. It's better than waiting for him to find the safe house or do something desperate. While they discussed the plan, Susan and Joey had been moved to a room at the back of Haven House. The room had no windows facing the street, making it more secure. Joey sat on the bed, coloring in a book that Betty had given him while Susan paced back and forth. Mom, you're making me dizzy, Joey said, looking up from his coloring. Susan stopped pacing and sat down beside him. I'm sorry, honey, I'm just worried. Joey put down his crayon and looked at his mother with serious eyes. Is it about Dad? Is he going to find us? Susan pulled Joey close. The police are looking for Dad. We're safe here. But you're scared, Joey said. It wasn't a question. He could feel his mother's fear. Susan didn't want to lie to her son. He had been brave enough to tell the truth, and he deserved the same from her. Yes, I am scared. But being scared is okay sometimes. It helps us be careful. The important thing is that we're safe now and we have people helping us. Joey nodded, seeming to understand. Like Mr. Eastwood. He helped us. Yes, like Mr. Eastwood, Susan agreed, smiling a little. I still can't believe you went up to him like that. Grandpa showed me his movies, Joey explained. He always stops the bad guys. I thought he could stop Dad from being so angry all the time. Susan felt tears coming to her eyes. How long had her son been carrying this worry? How many nights had he lain awake, frightened by his father's temper? She had tried to protect Joey, tried to keep Frank's anger away from him, but children saw and heard more than adults realized. I'm sorry, Joey, she whispered. I'm sorry I didn't keep you safe from Dad's anger. Joey looked confused. But it's not your fault, Mom. Dad is the one who gets mad and breaks things. That's what Betty said. She said we didn't do anything wrong. Susan hugged Joey tighter. Betty is right. And we're going to be okay now. There was a soft knock at the door, and Lisa, the social worker, entered with a tray of food. I thought you might be hungry, she said, placing the tray on a small table. We have spaghetti and meatballs tonight. Joey's face brightened. My favorite. As they ate, Lisa sat with them and explained what would happen next. The police are still looking for Frank. When they find him, there will be a court hearing. You won't have to be there, Susan, but you'll need to provide a statement. What about after that? Susan asked. Where will we go? All our things are at the house, and I can't afford a new place on my own. She worked part-time at a grocery store, but Frank had always controlled their money. We have programs to help with that, Lisa assured her. There's emergency housing assistance, job training if you want to work more hours, and childcare for Joey. You don't have to figure it all out tonight. The thought of starting over was overwhelming, but Susan felt a glimmer of hope. Maybe they could have a new life, one without fear. Across town, the film festival was just beginning. Red carpet had been laid out in front of the theater, and photographers were setting up their equipment. Clint Eastwood arrived in a black SUV, his security team vigilant. Plainclothes police officers were positioned throughout the crowd, and inside the theater, Officer Daniels was coordinating the operation from a van parked nearby. All units in position. he said into his radio. "Keep your eyes open for Frank Miller, we have his photo. Brown hair, blue eyes, about 5'10", wearing a gray jacket and jeans when last seen." Eastwood walked the red carpet slowly, stopping to sign autographs and take photos with fans. His eyes scanned the crowd carefully, looking for anyone matching Frank's description. The plan was simple: appear as normal, draw Frank out if he was there, and let the police handle the rest. Inside the van, Officer Daniels received a call. "Sir, we've got a possible sighting of Miller's car 3 blocks from the theater. Blue Honda Civic, license plate matching." "Send a team to check it out," Officer Daniels ordered. "But keep most officers in position. He might be on foot already." They say tension was building. If Frank showed up, they would be ready. If he didn't, they were back to square one with a dangerous and desperate man still out there somewhere, looking for his family. The film festival theater was packed with people eager to see Clint Eastwood. Lights shone brightly as he walked onto the stage to introduce his latest movie. The crowd cheered and clapped. Despite the warm welcome, Eastwood remained alert, his eyes scanning the audience carefully. "Thank you all for coming tonight," he said into the microphone. His voice was calm, giving no hint of the tension he felt. "It's an honor to be here in San Diego to share this film with you." As Eastwood spoke, Officer Daniels received an update through his earpiece. "Sir, we've checked the blue Honda. It's Miller's car, but it's empty. He must be on foot somewhere nearby." Officer Daniels signaled to his team to spread out and search the area around the theater. Frank Miller could be anywhere in the crowd, possibly even inside the theater already. Eastwood finished his short speech and moved to a seat in the front row. The lights dimmed as the movie began to play. In the darkness, it would be harder to spot Frank if he was inside, but also harder for Frank to make a move without being noticed. Halfway through the film, Officer Daniels received another message. Movement at the side entrance. Male matching. Miller's description trying to enter through the staff door. "Move in quietly," Officer Daniels ordered. "Don't create a panic. If it's him, take him down fast, but keep it quiet." 4 officers moved quickly but calmly toward the side entrance. They found a security guard lying on the floor, unconscious but breathing. The door was open. Frank Miller had made it inside. Inside the theater, Eastwood felt a tap on his shoulder. He turned to see one of the plainclothes officers leaning close. "Miller is in the building," the officer whispered. "We need to get you out." Eastwood shook his head slightly. "If we move now, he might panic. Let your team find him first." The officer nodded reluctantly and moved back to his position, staying close to Eastwood. Frank Miller had entered through the backstage area and was now making his way through the dark theater, moving along the wall. His face was tight with anger, his movements jerky and nervous. In his pocket was a knife he had bought that afternoon. His gun was gone. The police had taken it from the house, but he was still dangerous. Frank had spent the afternoon driving around town, getting more and more angry. When he heard on the radio that Clint Eastwood would be at the film festival that night, something clicked in his mind. That was the old man from McDonald's, the one who had taken his wife and son away. If he found Eastwood, he would find them. Now, as he moved through the dark theater, Frank spotted Eastwood in the front row. His hand tightened around the knife in his pocket. He began moving down the side aisle, getting closer to the front. Officer Martinez was inside the theater too. She had been one of the first to respond when the security guard was found. Now she spotted Frank moving along the wall and spoke quietly into her radio. "I have eyes on Miller, east wall, moving toward the front." "All units move in," Officer Daniels responded, quietly. The officers began to close in on Frank from different directions. They moved slowly, trying not to attract attention in the darkened theater. Frank was now only a few rows behind Eastwood. He pulled the knife from his pocket, holding it close to his leg where it wouldn't be seen. Just as he prepared to move forward, he felt a firm hand grip his arm. "Don't move, Mr. Miller," Officer Martinez said quietly, pressing her gun against his side. "Drop the knife." Frank froze for a moment, then tried to pull away. Another officer grabbed his other arm. The knife fell to the floor with a quiet clatter. "Where are they?" Frank hissed. Where's my wife? What did that old man do with my family? They're safe, Officer Martinez said firmly. Safe from you. Now come quietly or we'll have to make a scene, and I don't think you want that. For a moment it seemed like Frank might resist. Then his shoulders slumped. The fight went out of him as he realized he was caught. The officers quickly handcuffed him and led him out a side door, so smoothly that most of the audience never noticed, their eyes fixed on the movie screen. Outside, Frank was placed in a police car. Officer Daniels approached him. Frank Miller, you're under arrest for assault on a security guard, illegal possession of a weapon, making threats against your wife, and child endangerment. You have the right to remain silent. As Officer Daniels read him his rights, Frank stared straight ahead, his face hard and angry. Inside the theater, the plainclothes officer leaned over to Eastwood again. They got him. It's over. Eastwood nodded, feeling relief wash over him. The boy and his mother would be safe now. At Haven House, Susan sat by the window in the common room, unable to sleep. Joey had fallen asleep hours ago, tired out from the stress and excitement of the day. Susan's phone rang, making her jump. It was Officer Martinez. Mrs. Miller? I wanted to let you know that we've arrested Frank. He's in custody. Susan's hand trembled as she held the phone. Where did you find him? At the film festival. He was looking for Mr. Eastwood, thinking he would lead him to you. But we were ready for him. He never got close. Tears of relief fell down Susan's cheeks. Thank you. Thank you so much. There will be a court hearing tomorrow. He'll stay in jail at least until then. The district attorney is pushing for no bail because of the threats and the knife he was carrying. He had a knife? Susan whispered, feeling sick. Yes, but he never got to use it. You and Joey are safe now. Try to get some rest. After the call ended, Susan went to check on Joey. He was sleeping peacefully, his small face relaxed for the first time in months. Susan gently brushed his hair back and kissed his forehead. We're going to be okay, she whispered. I promise. 3 months later, the sun was shining brightly on a small apartment complex on the other side of San Diego. Susan and Joey were unloading groceries from Susan's new used car. They had moved into this apartment 2 months ago, with help from a program for survivors of domestic violence. Frank was still in jail, awaiting trial. The charges against him were serious, and with Eastwood's statement and the evidence found at the house, the district attorney was confident he would serve significant time. Susan had a restraining order against him and had filed for divorce. Life wasn't easy. Susan was working full-time now, and Joey was adjusting to a new school. But they were safe. Each night, they ate dinner together without fear. Each morning, they woke up without dread. It was a simple life, but a good one. As they carried the groceries inside, the mailman arrived with a package. It was addressed to Joey. What is it, Mom? Joey asked excitedly. I don't know, honey. Let's open it and see. Inside the package was a cowboy hat, child-sized, with a note. To a brave young deputy who knew when to ask for help. Every hero needs a hat. Your friend, Clint Eastwood. Joey's eyes grew wide. Mom, it's from Mr. Eastwood. Can I wear it now? Susan smiled, her eyes misting with tears. Of course you can. Joey put on the hat, grinning from ear to ear. Mom, when I grow up, I want to help people like Mr. Eastwood helped us. Susan knelt down and hugged her son tight. You already helped us, Joey. You were brave enough to speak up when something was wrong. That makes you a hero already. Later that evening, in his home in Carmel, California, Clint Eastwood received an email from his assistant. Attached was a photo Susan had sent, Joey wearing his new cowboy hat, smiling broadly at the camera. Eastwood smiled as he looked at the picture. In his long career, he had played many heroes on screen. He had saved countless fictional lives and brought many movie villains to justice. But helping one brave little boy and his mother find safety and a new beginning, that was better than any movie role he had ever played. Eastwood saved the photo to his computer and wrote a note to his assistant to send the Miller family tickets to the premiere of his next film. Some stories deserved happy endings, especially in real life.